Okay, good evening, good afternoon, good morning to all of our partners across all of our different regions. Hello, I'm Bo O'Brien from Yes Education. It's been a very busy week again for us, and thank you for your support during this time. This week's been really big, as I said. We've had our Australian product training on Monday, and then we had our skilled migration training and GTE training on Tuesday. Now we've got a very special training again for you all today that many of you have been interested in for a very long time. Of course, is our New Zealand product as well, which we will be focusing on today. So we're lucky to have our partner, our regional marketing manager in New Zealand, Simon Young, who will be doing our presentation on our New Zealand product. We're lucky in New Zealand, we have access to a lot of different products, from universities to polytechnics, to high schools, primary schools as well. So similar to Australia, our product is quite strong and quite broad across all different institutions. So today we're going to go through, a lot of you have said you're unfamiliar with New Zealand. So we're going to go through, kind of like a full-on entry-level course and entry-level understanding of the New Zealand market. So we'll go through what are the advantages of studying in New Zealand, what are the universities that we have, what are the entry requirements, school fees, living costs, things like that. So we won't miss anything today. It's a very good presentation that I can see Simon has done. And then we will, like normal, we will have a Q&A session once Simon has finished presenting. So again, please think of any question that you have for New Zealand. New Zealand and Australia, there are a lot of similarities, but there are differences too. So it's important to recognize these differences and not apply everything that you know about Australia to New Zealand. It is a different country. There are differences in the system, although there are the similarities that I said. And yeah, think of any good questions that you have that aren't covered in the presentation, and please ask once the presentation has been finished. So you would be familiar, just ask away in the chat box. Otherwise, that we, again, like normal, we will share with you the PowerPoint presentation of this once complete, and also all of our webinars, as usual, will be shared to our YouTube page. If you haven't followed our YouTube page, we will put a link in the chat box as well, because it's a good place to access all of our videos all in one spot, rather than taking up so much room on your computer as well. So why don't we get started? So Simon, how are you? Can you hear me, Simon?
Hi. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. How are you doing today?
Awesome. Awesome. I'm doing great.
Good. That's good.
Yourself?
Very good. Yeah, I'm going well. I'm going very well. So Simon, today we've got a lot of different partners from different countries like China, Vietnam, India, Pakistan, Nepal, Malaysia, Indonesia, and so on, Cambodia as well. So we don't expect, we're not going to do detail per country, but yeah, a general presentation on New Zealand is going to be enough today. So thank you so much for your time, and I'll pass it on to you now.
Yeah, all right. Thank you very much. So firstly, I'd just like to say thank you to everyone that's attending our webinar. It's been very generous of you guys to just provide us with your time to attend this training today. So like Bo said, my name's Simon, and today we'll be talking about New Zealand, basically, and the study options in New Zealand, and how we can turn study into permanent resident. Mm-hmm. And in the future, we want you to become citizens of New Zealand. So it's not a straightforward process, but I guarantee you that it is simple, and we can make it work in the end. So from this training, we've broken it up into 3 different sections. The first is just an introduction of studying in New Zealand, basically the requirements of study and where study can bring you. Secondly, we'll talk about residency in New Zealand. So the basic residency requirements, and how you can become resident of our country. And finally, we'll move on to the Q&A. So without further ado, I'm going to share my screen and we'll start the PowerPoint. Cool. So I hope you guys can all see my screen here.
Yes.
Yeah, we can see. Yeah.
You can see? Awesome.
Yeah.
So firstly, to say thank you. And this is our PowerPoint for New Zealand. So first question is, why choose New Zealand? I'd like to start off with an introduction of our country, because it seems like maybe a few of you aren't too familiar with New Zealand in general. So New Zealand is a very young country. It's made up of a land of immigrants, and it was only discovered about 200 years ago. So before the English came in, we had the Māori people migrating from the Pacific Islands, and they were here for about 800 years or about 1,000 years. But it wasn't until the 1760s that the English actually began to settle in New Zealand. And throughout the 1800s and into the 1900s, it wasn't a very well-known place in the world. However, because of the English settlement, they brought their culture and they've brought a lot of the English traditions over. So basically, New Zealand is an English-oriented country, but we have a lot of multi-cultures over here. So if you're in New Zealand, it might be quite similar to Australia or to the UK, where we've got a lot of Chinese people, a lot of Indian, Japanese, European, African, like a lot of different cultures in our country. And what this means is we're very welcome to other migrants from across the world. New Zealand's the country, one of the only countries in the world that offers a true permanent residence as well. So this basically means, again, becoming resident is much easier over here than maybe compared to some other countries, probably especially the US. So why are the other reasons why you might choose New Zealand? It's a very good place to live. We've got a very high standard of living across the world. I think only Norway or Iceland beats us on the rankings. So New Zealand is always in the top 3 or top 5 in the world for the best place to live. We've got 4 seasons. Summer is not too hot, winter not too cold, rain or shine. We've got the beach and we've got the mountains in our backyard. It's a balanced lifestyle. Work-life balance is relatively good. People average about 8 hours work a day, 40 hours a week. Got a nice, clean, green environment, a lot of land, little people, which also means a lot of sport and recreation. So maybe Bowen knows the All Blacks are one of the best rugby teams in the world. And we've got lots of other sports and other hobbies that people get interested into as well. So I'd like to move on to what we're here for, which is education in New Zealand. Let's just start off with some advantages of why you might choose to study in New Zealand. Firstly is price. We've got a list of the big competing countries, which you can say, Australia, Canada, England, and the US. And New Zealand is by far the cheapest country of all, if you're coming to study and if you're coming to live. So if we want to put this into perspective, if you choose to study in New Zealand and compared to the US, you're probably saving around 2 Tesla 3 models just throughout your degree of 3 or 4 years. So yeah, it's very competitive-wise on the price. It's pretty good. Secondly, it's the same internationally recognized qualification. So in New Zealand, we follow the British education system, which is the same as UK and Australia and Canada. A little bit different to the US, but on the international stage, it's recognized the same way. We're directly competitive with the US. And basically, when it comes down to employers looking for the candidates, you're not looking at the university, but you're probably focusing on the grade. Other advantages, so we have a lot of opportunity after graduation. So during study, students can be transferred all across the world. So basically all of New Zealand universities, we are partners in England, Australia, Canada, and the US. And a lot of our students here, we transfer overseas to study for a semester or 2. After graduation, students aren't sent back home immediately, which is another benefit. So the New Zealand visa system works that you obtain the student visa, but after the student visa expires and you're eligible to graduate, you can be given a 3-year visa to work in any industry or for any employer, for any position, and you can change as many times as you like. And basically after the student proves themselves in their field, they can apply for residency. In New Zealand, we have a very flexible educational system. So again, similar to the UK, it's a lot of engagement in class, a lot of challenging the creativity and innovation for critical thinking, developing individuals at an early age, and nurturing maturity at an early age. There's a lot of sports, a lot of music, dance, different hobbies that students get into. And what this basically doesn't mean is you don't have very long hours in the classroom, and students aren't forced to memorize books after books. A lot of it's more engaged into the education. And this basically translates into the university system and how university works here. Students choose their major during the first year, as opposed to the US, where they might have 1 or 2 years of general learning. We've already covered that through high school. So we did that. The first year, it's straight through into the major or the passion that the child's interested in. Our graduation for bachelor is usually 3 years and sometimes 4, where in the US probably is 4 years minimum. Another advantage we have is visa policy. Immigration policy in New Zealand is quite simple and it's quite straightforward. Because we're such a small country, it's very important for us to have skilled migrants to join our workforce. So the immigration success rate is quite high, and the English language requirement is not so strict as some other countries may be. And our last advantage that we've got on the slide is that you can work during study. So in New Zealand,
Simon, maybe you can can you close WeChat first? Then
yeah, it's
a bit noisy.
Yeah, sorry. I think it's just sharing a screen. Yeah. Okay, there you go. All right, sorry about that. So the final advantage of New Zealand is work during study. From my experience, a lot of Chinese children, they've never worked during university or before university, and they only start work after university. What's a bit problematic is that after graduating, they're already 22, 23 years old, no experience in the workforce. And they've basically got to learn from scratch the fundamentals of work. In New Zealand, we don't promote this. We promote working while studying. So students, when they're about to graduate high school, when they're 16, 17, the government pushes them to start a bit of work just to understand how work life goes. And when you get to master's or PhD programs, you're allowed to work even more. So this is the advantages of study in New Zealand. Next, we just want to move on to the educational system here. Again, it's very similar to many other countries. And I'm probably just going to speak for a few minutes on this and not dwell too much on it. So in New Zealand, we have a very simple and straightforward system of how it works. You've got 6 years in primary school. This is where we learn the fundamental of life, such as maths, English, and a bit of science. 2 years onwards, you have the New Zealand Intermediate School. This is what we call the transitional period. So it's transitioning away from the fundamentals and into a teenage and adult life. Between intermediate school, the child is probably around 12 or 13 years old. And by 14, they start high school. High school, we spend 5 years in high school, from year 9 to year 13. And high school is basically designed to prepare you for life. Not for university, but it's trying to accomplish like a general understanding of how the world works. And that's the purpose of high school here. So we'll start with primary school. Primary school, the slide's a bit complex, but it's years 1 to 8, including intermediate. We study 4 terms a year. So each term is about 10 weeks long. So that's about 40 weeks a year of study. And the classrooms are from 9 o'clock to 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So next we have secondary school, which is the same as high school. In New Zealand, they're a bit bigger than the primary school. And roughly they might have about 1,500 people enrolled into each secondary school. Secondary schools have to follow strict government guidelines. And the guidelines are in the curriculum. We call this the NCEA. But apart from NCEA, we also have Cambridge and IB. These are actually international recognitions that are allowed to teach in New Zealand. But most likely, the public school will offer NCEA as it's fundamental that the child may need. But you can always pick and choose which one that you want to go under. For secondary school, there's no IELTS requirement. So anyone can come in and basically start learning. Do we have this? Yeah. So what is NCEA? So NCEA is the National Certificate of Educational Achievement. And this usually begins at around 15 years old, or what we call year 11. The total assessment period is 3 years. So year 11, year 12, and year 13, where you go up from level 1, level 2, and level 3. And basically, the final year is used to calculate university entrance, but I can talk on that a bit later. NCEA is comprised of 50% coursework and 50% exam, which means that the student may do very well during the course, But if they get sick during exams, they don't have to rest on their exam scores to demonstrate how well they did during the year. You need NCA to get into university. If you follow NCA, if you follow Cambridge, that also works as well. And our statistics say about roughly 70%, 75% of students gain in university entrance through NCEA. It's not very strict or very hard, but we can't treat it like a walk in the park either. So it just really depends on the individual and the grades that they get. Yep, so this is this slide basically just shows what we just said, the skills and the requirements of the subjects. Okay, so university basic admissions. So at NCA, we have 3 subjects made up of 14 credits each. So all of this might be a bit complex, but basically this means that you need a passing grade. A passing grade in NCA is not 50%, but it's more around 45% is a pass. The same thing goes with literacy and numeracy. It's basically just a passing grade. What the 5 credits in reading, 5 credits in writing, what it means. I wouldn't pay too much attention to the technicals, but just note it down as a passing grade will gain you university entrance. And this is a comparison between New Zealand and Asian schools. I've mentioned a lot of it before, but we can just say like the classroom management is better here. The teaching methods are, it's a lot more hands-on. The relationship between teachers and students are also a bit more free, a bit more about creativity and exploring rather than in the classroom all the time. We offer a wide variety of subjects, which includes graphic design, food science, environmental science, and we have a lot of extracurricular activities. We have like chess clubs or football clubs, and a lot of different activities going on during the school time as well. So this slide is for the university pathway of Vietnamese high school graduates. If you just see here, it's quite similar and a little bit different. So if we start at the primary level, New Zealand, we spend about the same amount of time during primary school. So 5 years, 6 years. We have intermediate. Vietnam has secondary high school. We have secondary school and you guys have high school there. And we both enter university at around 17 or 18 years old. Our bachelor degree, if you can see, is only 3 years, where in Vietnam it's 4. So we probably want to point out this as the a main factor of coming to New Zealand actually, is that our bachelor degree, we start straight on with the core course, which means it's a bit shorter and you can save some money as well. Next is university pathway. So this is for Vietnamese students, probably in more particular. So it's a bit complex, but if we look at the second graph, if you're a current university student and you've completed your first year in a bachelor degree in Vietnam, you can directly apply to New Zealand if your IELTS is above 6.0. We have this thing called the English Pathway course, which is about a 6 to 8 week program. It's very short. And afterwards, you're straight on into the bachelor degree. It's very fast, very efficient way to get into New Zealand. If it's not a university student, but high school graduate, and the IELTS is about 5 or 5.5. We do the course, and you've got to do a 1-year foundation study in New Zealand. And the foundation study in New Zealand is equivalent to the first-year bachelor back in Vietnam. Which, following that, you pass, you do your grades, you do well, you start the bachelor degree, and afterwards you can get the post-study work visa, which is, like I said before, after studying, you can begin work straight away. And afterwards that, once you prove yourself a bit more, you can apply for residency. So let's talk about that foundation studies from beforehand. These are for the high school graduates who are looking to come here straight away. The foundation study costs about 30,000 New Zealand dollars, equivalent to about 22,000 US dollar. Intakes are in January, July, and August, and the requirements are year 12, pass year 12 and you're in, or year 11 with a GPA of 7.5. Seems like, just according to this, it's not very difficult to get into foundation studies here. We offer 8 universities in New Zealand, not too many compared to China. All of them are accredited, and all of them are in the top 500 in the world. Semesters start in February to early March, and usually they end in November. You've got summer school in between. Our summer school is flipped from the north. So summer is from November through to February. Some programs start in July. Most of them start in March. Bachelors are 3 years, and the cost is about $28,000 per annum. So this is the university, and we highly recommend that students join the university here because the cost is not too high and the benefits greatly outweigh the Polytechnics, which we're going to go on to next. Oh, sorry, this is, so this is the entry requirement for university. So undergraduates complete first year and a recognized university with an IELTS of 6.0 for each band. And we said before, if it's a high school student from Vietnam, we can enroll into a foundation course and be admitted to university straight after. If we're doing postgraduate, similar thing. Once you completed your bachelor with the average of a B grade, then you can join New Zealand if your IELTS is at 6.5. Here we go. So these are the polytechnics. We've got 16 polytechnics here, and they don't provide university degree, but they provide certificates. They're a bit cheaper, and they're usually 1 year study, sometimes 2 years. And the same duration, so they start from February or March, and they ended around December and November. Cool, so we move on to school enrollment. So when we apply for an undergraduate program, we've got to complete the International Student School Application Form. Once you complete this, a certified copy of a 3-year high school graduation certificate and transcripts, either your academic transcripts. If you've completed 1 year or more at university, you must provide university results as well, your English results such as IELTS, and a photocopy of your passport. If you're applying for postgraduate programs, international school application form, again, the same as before, your grades, your English, and your passport. So very basic, very simple stuff. Usually just take about a week or two to sort out. If you have really exceptional grades, you can also apply for scholarship. You can see the list here. they range from about $1,000 or $500 all the way through to $20,000 at Lincoln University. So a lot of money up for grabs if we can get scholarship. Some popular courses in New Zealand, these are just the master programs we listed here. We've got Master of Architecture, Master of Civil Engineering, Applied Finance, and MBA. All of these are internationally recognized, like we said before. And this graph here basically shows the amount of students that we have. You can see the trend from 2009 up to now. It's been steadily increasing. This year, obviously, because of the pandemic, the numbers may have shifted a little bit. These are the population by nationality. So what we got is the blue graph, as China has been growing quite steadily throughout the last few years. India also seen a big rise. And we've got some other minority groups here as well. Cool. So this will be the second section of the presentation, which is residency. So like we said before, after you study in New Zealand, you have what we call the internationally recognized qualification. And what this basically means is you're a skilled person now. The New Zealand government will recognize you as a skilled person who can work in a skilled industry. And what this means is you can use the qualification that you just obtained in order to apply for residency later on. So like we said, it's study, work, then you can become resident. So why should you or your children study here? This is this graph actually shows the point system that we have in New Zealand. It's 160 points to apply for residency, and you earn points through your age, your qualification, and your employment. So as long as you obtain the 160 points, you're eligible for residency in New Zealand. After you get residency, you can apply for permanent resident within only 2 years. So the process after work and a bit of study and applying for residency, this can be all done within 5 or 10 years. With permanent resident, of course, you can go home, you can come back to New Zealand, and you're free to move around. So we've got a few success stories we'd like to share with you guys. This is the first one. So a couple from India with 2 children. The husband was an IT engineer and his partner was a housewife, but she also held a bachelor degree. We helped that wife enroll into a 1-year postgraduate program and applied for a work visa for the husband while she studied. With the postgraduate program, you're allowed to bring the family to New Zealand. Within 2 months, the husband found a job and we began to process the family's resident application. And the whole family gained residency before the wife finished her post-study degree. Second story, a Hong Kong couple with a daughter traveled to New Zealand as tourists, and they were very impressed with the New Zealand scenery. After they returned to Hong Kong, they wanted to migrate to our country, and so we helped the wife enroll into a 1-year post-study postgraduate program in hospitality. With her good English skills and local work experience, she was able to find a job in a 5-star hotel. And as soon as she finished the course, she became a duty manager at the hotel. We applied for the resident and got approval within 6 months. So this is the student visa and just a bit of the cost, and we'll try to break it down a little bit. To support your living cost and studying in New Zealand, it's the tuition fee plus 15,000 New Zealand dollars every year. The tuition fee is roughly, depending on where your, which program you're enrolled in and which university, maybe looking at about $15,000. So all up, 30,000 NZD per year. You need to provide bank statements covering 6 months. And if you're not working, if you're studying, prove the source of your funds. So how do you get this money to have work? Or how do you get the money to support yourself while you're here? This can be the form of parents, or it could be any other financial sponsor you may have, maybe like a family trust or something. Partner of a student work visa. So what is very, very enticing about New Zealand is that while you study and you have a partner or family, especially if you have a partner, you can bring the partner to New Zealand while you study. And when you're studying, they can work. This only applies to the higher skill qualifications, such as a master's or PhD. And you can also bring any dependent children as well, and they can study and go to school here. Yeah. So the partner will have the work visa during this time. This is what we call. I alluded to the point before. The 160 points. So the 160 points goes into this called the skilled migrant category. And this will be basically nearing the end of the presentation. So skilled migrant category, this is how we become resident in New Zealand. There are other ways, but this is the main way that you can become resident. Be under 55 years old. Just be healthy, no health problems, no police record, no criminal records, have English requirements at 6.5 IELTS and 160 points. Quite standard, not too strict on becoming residency. So how do we add up the points? Well, firstly, we look at the age. New Zealand, we're always trying to incentivize young people who are also skilled to work in our industries. So age is a big factor, and you can claim up to 30 points through your age. Second thing is education. So for education, you can claim up to 85 points. And the 85 points is usually probably a PhD or doctorate degree. If you have a bachelor degree, you can still claim up to 50 or 60 points quite easily on that. Third is work experience. So if you have a long time experience in the workforce, it can substitute for education or anything else that you're lacking. And you can claim up to 75 points for this. Local skilled employment. So if you're working in New Zealand and you have a job here, that's another 50 points on top. And finally, your partner, if you have a partner, and they're also skilled, they have a bachelor degree or they work in a skilled industry, you can also claim points based on that. And again, the total points is 160 or more to apply. So skilled migrant point allocation, I think this is just a little walkthrough. Yeah, so we've got number A. So this is a person. He's under 40, had a master's degree, 10-year work experience, and a partner with a bachelor degree. So he can apply for residency. Second person, age is above 40, so he gets less points. Only bachelor degree, same amount of years in work experience, but partner has master degree. So with 140 points, Mr. B can't apply for residency. He doesn't meet the requirements. So again, I think I talked about this already. Why do we need skilled employment in New Zealand? So when you're above 160 points, we want, again, like we want skilled people here, and we want skilled people to be working in skilled employment. And with this, you can become resident. If you're below, so I think this graph just shows you the ways that you can become a resident of New Zealand. So what is skilled employment? Very simple. It's we look at salary. So if you're above our median salary of $25.50 per hour, if you get a job that pays you more than that, then you're automatically in skilled. If you're below, then you may need to work a bit harder. The ANSCO level 4 to level 5 is probably quite irrelevant here. So if your job is within this occupation level, you need to be paid $38.25. But most people who leave university, they get a higher skill job, which makes it much easier to become resident. So we've got here the long-term skill shortage list. It's separate to the skilled migrant category because on this list, it's more of an automatic residency pathway. So if your job or your qualification is in any of these industries that we listed here, it's much easier for you to become a resident in New Zealand. And this list basically outlines the areas that New Zealand is lacking. So for example, if you're a doctor or a nurse, if you're studying in software engineer, if you're a chef, your pathway towards residency is much more straightforward and much easier this way. So again, this slide, if you don't have a job offer and you have a score of less than 160 points, if you study a 3-year bachelor degree or a 1-year postgraduate diploma, this will be a very good option for you to get the points necessary, which is 160. Yeah, so we've got here, after finding a job, you get 50 points. So you worked, so if you studied, and after you study, you find a job, you get 50 points, your score is automatically going to be qualified for residency. Cool. So we've got just a bit of tuition costs again down here. Master is about 36,000 up to 48,000 New Zealand dollar. Postgraduate diploma, a lot less. Can you sponsor your family? Yes. So your partner can apply for work visa, and any dependent children, free education at primary and secondary school. Postgraduate diploma, you can't. And a master degree, 70 points. Postgraduate diploma, 50 points. Cool. So that's our slideshow finished. I will stop the broadcast now.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you so much, Simon. That was great. Thank you for your time.
Cheers.
So now we will start. I'm conscious of the time. We've got about 15 minutes. So
yeah,
we're going to go through some questions for some
awesome.
of our agents. So
awesome. If I'd like to just introduce, sorry, but
yeah, go ahead.
I'd just like to introduce. So our team here, Mandy is in charge of the. We've got Mandy here. She's in charge of the student services in our firm here. So
yes.
she'll be taking the Q&A.
Okay,
she's
great.
very experienced. She has 20 years experience in this field.
Yes, of course. Great,
So
fantastic.
she'll take over, and I just like to say thank you to everyone that's thank you to everyone that attended today. It's very generous of you guys to give up your time, and I hope you guys will learn a lot of New Zealand and studying here. So thank you very much, and I'll pass it on to Mandy.
Great, fantastic.
Thank you,
So yeah,
Simon.
thanks, Mandy. So we're going to start with the first questions here. Lisa, we went through some of the fees, and we'll send through some of the fees to you after this. Lisa also asked, does a student need 5.5 or more in English to apply for foundation year?
Foundation have 2 English level. Basic standard foundations is 5.0. So each band not lower than 5. If you have 5.5, then you can have a shorter course, like 30 weeks. So that will be 2 levels, should be 5. If you can't get 5.0, and then you also New Zealand accepted, you can come and do English course. So they have a pathway English course, get straight into foundation study.
Fantastic. That's great. So Chris says, some of the slides were a bit too small to read. That's okay, Chris. We will send you the PowerPoint so you can read some of the details. Yeah, sometimes during the presentation there may have been it may have been a bit fuzzy to read, but I will send that over to you so you can have a look more in detail. No problem, Chris. Okay. Next questions. Going to the other chat box now. Simon, this is a question from Yoga. Simon mentioned in the presentation about true permanent residence. He said the word true permanent residence. Is there a difference between, is it different permanent residence ideas, or is it just the one idea of permanent residence in New Zealand?
Yeah, New Zealand permanent residence is forever. So first you get the residence, they will give you a 2 years returning visa first. So during that 2 years, you can go out for 2 years and coming back, or you can stay for 2 years, and each year you stay for 184 days. And then second year is the same, 184 days. And then you get RV, means resident visa forever. So then after 2 years, you can leave the country and return 10 years later, or when you retire and coming back to stay in New Zealand. Yeah, that's fine. So, and also you can keep your citizenship, like Chinese other citizenship.
Other citizenships is fine.
Yeah. So that probably the best benefits for New Zealand. That's we call was residence forever.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's a really good policy that New Zealand has. So next, and Angelia, we will share the slides to you. Next one. I think Simon went through some of the prices, but could you maybe go over again what kind of is the range of pricing in New Zealand for school fees, like from foundation up to master level? What is kind of the range depending on the university?
Okay, for foundation studies, the fees probably start with $25,000, and for university study, undergraduate bachelor degree start with 30,000 up to 40,000. Like depends on what kind of the subject you're doing. Engineering is more expensive. So business or arts maybe under 30,000. Yep. So probably around between 30 to 40,000 per year. That's for undergraduate. For master degree, start with 35,000 up to 45,000 per year. And also, if you want to cheaper price, probably a Polytech. Yeah, Polytech will be lower, 10,000 lower than university. And also they provide the same degree, same level of master degree, and also some Polytech also have a PhD as well. I want to add on one good things for international student. After you graduate from bachelor degree, you get automatic, you granted as 3 years job search visa. So up to you find a job, up to $25.5 per hour. And then if you add up on the points, then enough 160 points, you'll be lodged, you'll be able to apply for primary residence for skilled migrant. And for master students, when you come and study master degree or higher, then your partner, you can also the same time you can get work visa. And if you have a children, and children between 5 to 18 will become a domestic student. That means it's for public school will be got no fees. Only probably you only pay for stationery and uniform. That's all. Yeah. So it's, I think that's a good benefit for applicants. And also, if you have a master degree, you can study 1 year to 18 months, and so you probably you only pay for your tuition. The benefit is your partner can get work visa to support the living expense. And your children is safe, even you have 2 or 3 children, the same as a domestic student fees. That means no fees. Right. So that probably the benefit. And after you graduate, and you will have automatic have a 3 years job search visa. So during the study period time, you're allowed to work for 20 hours. Yeah, so that you can easily to get a job if you start earlier. You have a good planning. We guide you how to get into the community, find a job. Then you can early to get permanent residence, because after your master graduate, you got 80 points. 80 plus 30, because your age was below 40, and then you got a job offer 50, that will be 160 points.
160, quite easy,
Yeah,
and just to repeat what you said, children of international students in New Zealand, if they go to high school or primary school in New Zealand, it will be the domestic student price.
Yes.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, in New Zealand, let's say primary school start at 5 years old. Yeah, so will be up to 13 years during the primary to high school level will be 13 years. 3 years bachelor degree. So it's Asian country, probably 12 years at high school and 4 years at university. So in New Zealand, it's 13 years at high school and then 3 years in bachelor degree. So then, because high school will be paid less than university.
Yes.
So so for the money wise, still it's worth it for investment.
Next one is James. James Hall has made a comment that PhD is 3 years in New Zealand. Yes, I believe he was referring. I think he was referring to masters can be 1 or 2 years. But PhD is 3. Yes, that was a mistake.
The PhD student, the benefit for PhD student is the fee was domestic student fees, same as New Zealander. And also during the study period time, you're allowed to work full time.
Full time.
Yeah. and also your partners can get the work visa during that period of time, and then your children, you have a domestic student that's free.
Yeah, wow, yeah, that's really good as well. Very good policy.
And after 3 years, you graduate, you still have another 3 years work visa as well. If you not find a job up to $25.5 per hour, yeah. So you still got plenty of time to get up to that skill level.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that's right. Okay. Next question. We've gone through this. Okay. Yeah, I think this is Su Ping has a question. If, let's say, a student is from Singapore or Malaysia or anywhere outside of New Zealand, and they've done their O levels, I think this is related to Singapore. So if they've done their O levels for many years in English, of course, can they waive the IELTS requirement?
Yeah, that can be, yes. We will send it to university to assessment first, and depends on how long you left the school. Like for example, some university maybe say, okay, if you graduate, you left the school for 2 years, maybe yes, still valid for your English. And you work probably you work in UK or you work American, so maybe yes. So that's is quite flexible. So we will send to the uni to assess first, but it's no guarantee at the moment.
Okay, okay, understood. And same with A level.
Yes, A level was because A level was no English requirement because the courses have English program. So A level is fine, IB program is fine, same as around the world. So yeah, we'll be accepted.
Okay, understood. All right. Yeah, Jumbe, we will share the details of the fees to you. Okay. Just checking any more. Desti asked, do you have a diploma pathway as an alternative to foundation before bachelor's degree? If yes, will the student be eligible for credit transfer? And then second, yes. Second,
if the student already know what they are doing, so they can apply, like if a high school graduate, they can apply for diploma program straight away to uni. Some universities have their own diploma program for 1 year, and you pass, then you can get in straight into the second year of the bachelor degree. Those that will save time and money. But you have to already confirm to commit that you want to do a business or you want to do engineering. If you're not sure, and then you might can choose foundation study first, because at a high school in Asia, I know because they already with the subjects, so you can't choose what you like, and then maybe good for them to come here to study in foundation year, because during the foundation year you can, like for example, you want to do a commerce course, commerce or business, then you can select accounting, economics program. But if you want to do architects design, then you need to good portfolio. So during the foundation study, then you prepare for that. But if you say, okay, I very straightforward, I want to do a business course, definitely you can do a diploma to start and save 1 year's time, and then small class. And then you pass the program, you get it straight into second year of bachelor degree. Yes, still 3 years time.
Her second question was, will a dependent child pay for domestic tuition fee? So yes, we just answered this one. Yes, that's true. That's true. There will be domestic tuition fee.
Yes.
The third one, do you help students with post-study visa until PR visa directly?
Yes, we do.
Yes, we can.
Yeah.
Yes, we can. So,
will
Desi, if you have any
look after
question
them.
for that, once your student, if they do want to apply for post-study visa, just let our team know, and we can
Yeah.
help with that.
We look after them when they was in New Zealand. We look after the study plan, and if they want to get residence in New Zealand, we will guide them through how you can get into the community, how you find a job, how the job will be relevant for your skilled migrant. We will help
that's really
for
important.
the whole things. Yes, so don't worry.
Yeah, that's a really good point. We got a question, another one from Lisa about visa. So Lisa is an agent partner in Algeria, and in Algeria there's no embassy present, or no New Zealand embassy. So for countries that does not have a New Zealand embassy, how would you recommend to apply for visa? Would it be online, or how would you recommend to do that?
Okay, either you can because if you apply for temporary visa, if you're not an immigration advisor, it's not applied from New Zealand, you can help them to apply. But if then you're still doing online. But the other way, because we have a very strong immigration team here, so we can help them to apply online as well, because we have immigration advisor in New Zealand, so we can support that as well.
Yeah, for student visa.
For student visa or whatever. But if you, they can help them, but to make sure all the relevant document is correct, and then they submit online. But if for other, work visa or residence, you must have immigration advisor, licensed advisor. You're allowed to help the clients. If you don't have an immigration license advisor, you can't help them for work visa or residence visa.
Yeah, with New Zealand. So
with New Zealand.
And they So you won't have to collect biometric data. Biometrics.
Yeah. What does that means?
So will students, let's say we have a student from Algeria that wants to apply for a student visa in New Zealand. It's just like a normal student visa application, right? Or from some country, will they have to give some biometric data?
It's just normal student visa, but the student is overseas. So there's the thing is you need to be so they will look at the sponsor. You have to qualify for their whole study plan is for 3 years or 6 years. Like for example, if you help them to apply for high school here, so then at least you need to show 3 years money and living expense already in their account, and also they still have a continued income can support for their youth tertiary study. So they will also will look at the money where they come from, the resources. So if that shows nice and have a good study plan, that will be fine.
And they can show all of that online anyway. They won't have to visit anyone in a nearby embassy. Not necessary.
No embassy was in their country, because now was that they close by even UK, Hong Kong branch. That most famous branch is already closed.
Yes.
So there's everything is doing online.
Yeah. No problem. Yeah, I hope that answers your question, Lisa. So, I think that's it. But from me, a question that I get a lot from partners around the world is that they're afraid to apply for New Zealand because they think, the visa rate is so low, or it's lower compared to Australia or lower compared to other countries, or they fear that they have to show too much finance before going to New Zealand. So do you think there's an element of truth in that New Zealand is a little bit tougher, or do you think that's just a perception and that you just have to show that you're a strong, genuine student? And if you are, then it's okay to go to New Zealand? Or do you think, is there some students, very good students, that worry about going to New Zealand because they've heard that it's too hard? So I hate that. I hate when people say things like that. What would you have to say about that?
I think this will be the same as Australia, because before Australia was probably but easier. They don't need to have a showing 6 months bank statements, but before was the New Zealand immigration asked for you have money already in the bank for 6 months deposit, but now that you don't need to, you just need to show the transaction. You know, regular transaction already in the bank. You're not just like you have a big amount of money and then next day the money move out, and the other day we'll put it on. Just regular income to show you have the money on hands. I think will be same as Australia, because and other country as well. Because all the immigration will look at the same as EU. You enough money to support from the parents, and also your study plan and will be relevant of your qualification. You can you have a master, for example, you already have a master degree, and then you come here to do undergraduate, then you have to think about what's the reason. Okay, if there was a very low background and in your country they haven't finished high school, but they were probably 30 years old, and the immigration will look at what's your your study ability. You might be a 35 or something. They will look at you, what's your study ability. If you have English ability to show you already have a 5.5 or 6 IELTS, that means okay, you'll be okay to study. If you have a low qualification and you don't enough money, and also your English is very bad, they will challenge you.
Sure.
I think same as other country.
Yeah, same as other country. That's the same with Australia as well. Absolutely.
That's right.
If you're ticking all of the boxes, you've got a really great shot, great opportunity to go.
That's right.
But for those families that maybe they cannot prove their stable income, when should they prepare to move and prepare so they have enough statement to prove some income? So maybe some family overseas, they at the moment they cannot prove that income. How long should they prepare to then prove it? How long?
Yeah, so because now they immigration don't need to support you already deposit the money for 6 months. You just need to show the transaction during the 6 months time. When you starting planning for come to New Zealand for study, so good things you have a regular income to put into the bank. Don't move, just get there. And also the study plan need to be relevant. So you come to New Zealand, just you come for improve your your skills, so you get higher than your previous qualification. That would be fine.
Okay, understood. I think that's it for the questions. Or no, we've got a few more. From Anisul, how long does it take to process undergrad / postgraduate student visa from the subcontinent, and whether the border is open now for international students?
Yes. Before the student visa usually takes 1 to 4 weeks time, you get answer. And
1 to 4 weeks.
So but if you prepare the documents very good and have a good portfolio, and send out, so you got case officer, they might be get you tick in the box. Yes, you get the answer straight away for a couple of days. Usually it will be take 4 weeks. That's the maximum. And also if the border was open, I think that the long-term student visa will be the priority for immigration.
Yes.
Yeah. So, and also I suggest if the student is interested to come to New Zealand for study, and they might don't have the English ability at the moment, we can start to have applied for program, university entrance, and also do the same thing with doing online English course, yeah, from university, because they have a package offer. Some university will be open online courses for student overseas to prepare the, pick up the time, like from now. So September we'll have academics English program. Then you don't need to worry about IELTS or not. If you have a university offer, that when you pass the program online, then the borders open, you come into New Zealand straight to the tertiary program. That probably this save time. And also foundation study also open online as well. If the high school student, maybe they don't want to finish the last final year, if their grade was good for high school student, they can start the foundation program earlier. So the next one will be, probably we can't get into the July intake, we can start on the September intake. So better than apply now, so they have a good plan.
Yeah, better to apply now.
Anytime the borders open, they can come straight to New Zealand to continue. Yep. Otherwise, they do it online.
Yeah. Got another question is, can someone go to New Zealand without having done the IELTS test or any other English test? Is that possible?
Yes, yes. New Zealand don't need require any English requirement before you apply. Yep. Yeah. So no requirement.
How difficult does the visa become then if there's no English test?
Easy. If for high school,
what for university?
If university exam, if you enough money to support your study, no English requirement, that's fine, because you have a good study plan. Your age will as you upgrade yourself, that's fine, easy.
Yeah.
The same.
Okay, great, fantastic. All right, I think that's it. I think that's it, and no more questions. Great. All right, we'll leave it at that. That's good. That's 70 minutes. Good. And thank you so much for your time. Hope you're doing well in New Zealand. New Zealand is the everyone's jealous how well New Zealand.
And because actually we're still keeping very well. No community,
transmission.
The COVID, only the people comes in, and
that's right.
From one or two, we're keeping very well. So every day sunshine here, even it's winter.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Well, I'm glad you're doing well, and we hope to see you soon when everything is
when the
safe.
borders open. Welcome everyone. Come.
Hopefully 2021 is a better year. And
I think so. Yeah,
it's good to hear your positive.
I hope the presentation today will help.
It will.
Any further question you send to Bob, so we can answer them.
Great. Okay. Thank you so much. And thank you everyone for your participation. Any questions for New Zealand, please do let me know, and we will send you the presentation, of course, first, and any other further questions we'll answer you as well. And feel free to get in touch. Thank you for your time, and we'll see you next time.
Yes, thank you everyone. Listen. See you next time. Bye-bye.